Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to another YouTube video. Here we're discussing the good things about life, the bad things about life, philosophical questions, and super non-philosophical questions that are things that are going to help you in different periods of your life depending on what you're going through. My name is Olia. I moved to the United States about 5 years ago from Ukraine, and I have a lot to share. Today, we're going to be talking about low points in your life. Of course, everybody's low point is going to look different. There's so many things to discuss, but if you have a problem, which you will probably do if you're watching this video, that is either in your mind or in your soul right now, we're going to be discussing how you go through it. So you come out stronger, better, faster, and all those greater things. So, you came out here and you're probably struggling either with like your weight, your relationship with yourself, your friends, your financial situation. Maybe there's something that you want to do and you just can't start. Maybe you have everything and you just don't feel like that fulfills you 100%. That also can be the case. So, whatever's on your mind, I ask you, please keep it. Please be open with yourself. Nobody else is gonna know about it, okay? You can just share in the comments if you'd like to. Maybe you'll help somebody else. But otherwise, the first thing when you're going through a hard period of time, you're gonna feel that like it's hitting that point or you're at that point right now, is you're gonna acknowledge it. Okay? When you have a cavity in your tooth, before you do anything else, you just acknowledge it. When you acknowledge it and you say it out loud, the problem almost becomes a little bit less than it is, because when it's in your mind is wired to go to the worst scenario. But when you say it out loud, it doesn't seem like such a big rock bottom, if that makes sense. If you are saying, I am in debt or I am struggling with financial situation, add the right now at the end. For example, I am struggling with my relationship right now, or I am struggling with my weight right now. Defining that right now means that you're going through that current period of your life, and it's tough right now. It is not going to be like this forever. So, thing number two that you're going to do is you're going to remind yourself that it's not going to be like this forever. Okay? So, it's just a period of life that you have to go through. When you acknowledge it, you know that it's not going to be forever. You're a little bit more optimistic about that situation. So, you're more likely to take any action, which is going to be super beneficial. So, the things that almost all of the life coaches do, all of the courses that are selling on the internet, um, all of the personal trainers use is right now, I want you to write down 3 things that you don't like about your life. So, for example, you're, oh, I really don't like my job right now, or I'm a stay at home mom and I really wish I had a job, I had a career. Maybe you're a guy who's working full time and you think that I'm just not home at all, and my wife and my kids miss me and I'm unsatisfied with my life. The top number one problem is probably going to be the one that really has pain in your chest, in your body. When you think about that problem, try to close your eyes and feel where in the body it is, and then try to ask yourself, what can I do with my body right now to make me feel just a little bit better about the problem? Maybe that's stand up. Maybe that's like sight. Maybe that's sit down. Maybe that's tap. Maybe that's actually like you just need to cry it out. And if you need to cry it out, turn on the sad music. If you're struggling with, actually having emotions and crying through your tears, turn on the music. Help yourself out of this feeling. prayer is also a very helpful thing. No matter what your religion are, when you pray, it's only you and God who knows about your situation, so you really can live through this feeling. And trust me, you're going to feel so much better after you do it. Try it at least once. It's going to be such a relief off of your shoulders. So the next thing that you're going to do with the three things that you wrote down that unsatisfy you with your life, you are going to like really get angry at it, like look at it, acknowledge it, like look at it again, read it one more time, and then you're gonna burn that list that you just wrote down. So not yet, just wait a second, but eventually you're gonna burn it down. So really put your emotions on paper. The next thing that you're going to do is on the opposite side, you're going to write down what you would want to have instead of that. So, why do you do this? Is because your brain needs a point B, because if I am, for example, a stay at home mom and I don't have any career, maybe a job at a local coffee shop would actually satisfy me and it would be perfect and I could have time spent with my family while working there. But for somebody else, it's going to be maybe having their own business. For somebody else, it's going to be going back to school to get their degree. So this is why you're writing down the things that are the opposite of those that you don't want. So you're giving your mind at least a pinpoint. Now you have something to focus on. Now somebody's gonna say something in the conversation and you're gonna pick on it. Okay, you're gonna pick it up. Before that, you would just let it go, but now you're gonna pick up on it. So, after you wrote down what you want instead of the first three things, you're burning that first list of the things that you don't want. You have those three things that hurt you the most, okay? They're like your number one priority right now. And you're going to write down three things what you're going to do about that. So, if I want to go back to school and get education, maybe I'm gonna start looking at colleges. Maybe I'm gonna ask my friends if they know any offers, any scholarships, anywhere I could apply. Number three, maybe I'm gonna talk with my partner about trying to go back to school. Um, if you really just look at the list and you're like, wow, I have like no idea, at least put down like I'm gonna pray about it, or I'm going to be open to have a conversation if somebody mentions or offers something to me about that. And that's already moving that stepping stone. So please just give your mind like that little super super safe point that you can use to better yourself. um After you wrote down those three things, I want you to think about how you're going to incorporate it in your schedule. This is the most important top number one priority. If you are super busy at work and you wrote down that you want to spend more time with your wife, more time with your kids, you're gonna have to give something up, okay, in your current schedule to get something else over here. That's just how the universe works. You cannot run the infinite engine. You have limited resources. You have to acknowledge that you have limited resources in this life. So you are going to look at your calendar. Maybe you don't have a calendar. Maybe mentally do this, but start thinking where you're going to take away and what you're going to put in it instead. Maybe it will be talking to your boss and reducing your work hours. Maybe it's going to be you're going to go to the gym on your lunch break instead of at night, and you're going to be spending more time with your family then. Maybe it will be something that's you're gonna take more time off and just try to be a little bit more cautious with your money. Maybe that's gonna be having a hard conversation at work and actually moving jobs. It depends on how mentally you're prepared for all of this, and really please be like kind to yourself. If you, for example, want to lose weight, if you have motivation, that's great. Just don't do anything super extreme, or you're gonna be like, oh, I'm going on like a diet tomorrow and I'm eating 500 calories and maybe a sip of water. Make it realistic. Maybe make it just one step a little bit higher than you actually feel you could handle. Just like a little bit. If you just eat like normal right now, maybe just make it like I'm not gonna have a dessert at night, you know? Just something like very simple. Or I'm gonna have breakfast. I'm gonna have brunch instead of breakfast. Okay. So I'm gonna like fast for just like a little bit longer. Or maybe if you are struggling with like overeating, you're like, I'm gonna at least try to maintain my weight as it is, you know, and just trying to figure out, go through my head. Maybe that's gonna be like going to therapy for you, trying to figure out your goals and working through that. There's so many things that you can do that are going to help you through this period of life. When I had 3 jobs at one point and was going to school and managed a relationship and managed having all of these clubs, I was just on the outside, I had everything, but I was so unfulfilled with myself that I wanted to just walk out the window and cry. I had no time for myself at all. So you have to acknowledge, I had to acknowledge that I cannot do it. For some reason, I thought that I had to do it all. And if I didn't, I felt less than. But you also have to acknowledge you do have limited resources. Make it easy for yourself. If you're trying to open your own business, don't wait until you're gonna come back from your corporate job, try to make dinner, go to the gym, and then like work on your stuff. Like that's just not gonna work. Wake up an hour earlier. Just it's gonna be so much more beneficial. You're just gonna wake up an hour earlier, have your computer open, have ChatGPT write you down what kind of steps you're gonna take. Really, I'm just trying to give you example to help you brainstorm what that can look like for you. Um, okay. And the last thing that I want to say is you are going to fall back into your old patterns. Don't be scared. So you've lived in a certain pattern of your life. You're used to your schedule, you're used to your routine, you're used to the way of living for your entire life, basically, or for a certain period of time for sure. So out of 7 days of the week, or out of 10 times you're trying to do something, it's not going to be perfect. At least like first week, maybe like you do it 5 times out of 10. The next week, you're going to do it 6 times out of 10. The next week, you're going to do it 7 times out of 10. And the next week, you're going to do it like 3 again out of 10. And I want you to not be discouraged by this because this is just human psychology. And we tend to fall back to our old patterns. So take it as a very neutral approach to those either failures, or they're not failures, they're just fallbacks, okay? They're like a little step backs, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's like when you're climbing up the big mountain and you have to rock climb, you know, to move on to the next step, sometimes you have to like move around, take a step back. Um, just do what is right for you, and please tell yourself how great you are for doing all those things when you do have those successes. Because if you focus only on result, it's always going to be about the result, okay? Result is like the peak of the mountain. It's like a moment out of the whole journey. And of course, when you get to that body, you get to that point with your partner, you get to that point of the lifestyle, it's going to be great. You're going to get that job. But if you're not enjoying the process, you're throwing away your whole life in that process. And that is just useless. If you're not living your life through that process, if you're constantly blaming yourself for something that you did, oh my God, how do you think you're going to get to the point? You think like top athletes, maybe, you know what, maybe top athletes do like they put in the hard work and they yell at themselves and the discipline, but do you want to live that way? Do you want to live 10 years when you constantly argue with yourself, you yell at yourself, you blame yourself, to only have that moment of prime that maybe is gonna last a day, two, whatever. And then you're just gonna go on and do the next thing, and then you're gonna blame yourself again. You're also developing through this journey a skill of treating yourself and supporting yourself to help yourself get to your point and sustain and be satisfied the entire way around. So I wish you the best luck on your journey wherever you are. It is okay. You're gonna learn your lesson at the end. Please be kind to yourself. Please, I hope this gave you some motivation and you are gonna go and at least write those things down. You don't have to start right at this moment, okay? Give yourself time, but try to brainstorm, meditate on it, chew on it, think about your life, reflect, write those things down, and I wish you the best. See you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.